So you guys will be out of order down below, but that's okay. When Kevin gets in here, that should kick those things into the right spot. Till then, it'll look a little bit weird, but that's okay. In the meantime, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Weird and Wild, session 47. Burn it all away. I'm Jaso the DM. Who else is playing with me today besides Kevin, who's here in his spirit statue form as a wolf? There he is.
Oh,
there he
wait.
is.
Oh, I see him.
There's Kevin.
Hey everybody, I'm Sun Kong, Aprilling Monk.
Who else besides Statue Kevin is here today?
It's Bailey here. I am playing Glossalor, the androgynous Eidolon College of Glamour Bard.
Hey, I'm Luke. I am playing Aesop, Kenku Blood Hunter, Order of the Lycan, and his alter ego, Subject 22.
Kyle, playing Kimo, Shadow Kai, Shadow Monk.
My name's Brian or Slim or husband, whatever you want to call me. But I play Ren.
Hi, husband.
Hi, many names.
I play Renkaz, a urban bounty hunter, fighter, martial archetype of the gunslinger. Lizards are awesome. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Nick. I play in VD, a half-elf celestial warlock, Pact of the Tome, and I have the best familiar in the entire world, a pseudo-dragon named Jira, played by my buddy Jeff.
At some point, Kevin or Sun Kong should turn from his statue-like state into a real person state to join us, hopefully somewhere in this session. In the meantime, he will stay in his beautiful wolf form. Thank you everybody for coming to watch us. There's a couple people who followed us in between when we broadcasted last time to this week. Thank you, Piglegs and Resident Zelda Bow 5Z. I don't know if that's Baugs, but thank you for following us. It's very nice of you guys. Also, as a general reminder, and I want to bring this up, a lot of you guys, as I've been mentioning a lot, as I'm sure you know, that you guys have loyalty points. A lot of you, when I've taken a look at your points, you have built a lot of them up. And I don't think it's necessarily the bots that have all these points. I think it's actual people who kind of come in and watch. So you guys should go take a look at our details page on underneath on our Twitch, and you'll find where you can build up those loyalty points, or what we call weird bits, and you can click on that and it'll take you over to the page where you can view those loyalty points and how much you've accrued, because some of you have enough to buy some cool stuff on there. If you want to interact with us, give the players a little bit of a benefit as they're playing, so go take a look at that. A decent amount of you have built some of that up, so thank you very much. Also, those of you who have followed Resident Zelda Bow 5Z, Piglegs, Cami Poops, Ashi Desu, if you guys will at least watch for 10 minutes, that will put you in the pool of building up your loyalty points, and I can award you the 20 points for following the channel. It may have been kicked up from there, I don't know. But you get points for following, but you have to watch the 10 minutes to start accruing at least some of it to pop up on that list, so please do so. Again, we're at 83 followers. Thank you everybody for following. We're less than 20 from the 100 mark, and that's when in that first 100 followers we'll be giving away the D&D box starter set. So please join, follow us if you are really feeling generous, subscribe. All of that goes right back into all the shit that I buy for tiles and all kinds of dumb stuff for the campaign.
Hell yeah.
Hey, if you have a Twitch Prime and it's just sitting around because it's free from its month and you want to throw that subscription somewhere, hey, I'll take that too. That'd be awesome. So yeah, follow our channel, and you'll be entered. One person will get that giveaway. So now for you guys, my players, I think pretty much all of you blew your inspiration.
Yeah,
so
boy.
Let's pull this back up. I'll shuffle this. Everyone draw inspiration.
I mean, use it or lose it. Can't take it with you, right?
If you're dead, you're dead.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Also, Aesop,
Yes.
A certain bird lover by the name of Tisa has awarded you 1 extra inspiration card.
What?
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Hey,
That's a really
Somebody
good one.
deleted my card. Give it back.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was the one that Jason was
took it?
awarding me. Yeah.
No.
No, you can go ahead and draw an extra one.
Sick.
hey,
Thank
Gloss,
you.
Gloss,
Yeah.
I have a good card if you'd like to use it, or in VD.
Let's see it.
Look at that bad boy. Spell
Mm.
saved by 1. That's pretty damn good.
VD, do you want it?
Less of my stuff is DC saves.
I'm gonna take it. Here, Rinkas, you can have mine. Thank you.
Oh, I got the spoops. The
All right,
ghost.
here, Rinkaz,
Spooky ghosts.
trade me because I have almost the same card, but
Okay.
yours will work better. Mine will work better for you, and yeah, take that one instead.
Thank
Oh
you.
wow. Yeah.
How do I put it face down in defense mode?
Shut up.
And with that, although this may be funky depending on who has to recall this, Kevin has immunity from giving the recap anyway, so that works out in his favor. So let's roll some die to see who wants to give the recap from last session.
Fuck me.
Oh!
I feel like I already did this. I feel like
No.
I feel like it's coming. Oh,
Look
yes.
at these rolls.
Oh boy, please let's have that be the end of those low rolls for this session.
Remember the day that Kyle outrolled you all.
Beautiful, sparkly,
Ooh,
glossy.
look at that.
Oh yeah, that's very glacé.
I just roll the recap dice in the game because it's more fun that way. Okay. Let's see. We blew up the reactor, got out of the factory.
Mm-hmm.
The what's his name? His name's Tilgar.
Oh yeah. He's
Uh,
fucking dead.
Zilgar, ready to get
Zilgar.
his vengeance.
Yes. It seems like he was gonna come with us and help us get out of there and help us fight, or maybe go get revenge or vengeance on.
One last job to complete, and then he'll leave this sick as shit planet with you guys.
Yes.
Except.
Except it started to rain, and a drop hit his bare skin, and he went up in flames. His entire body was incinerated very quickly. Nothing could have gone, and he died. So, the rain is lava, or something like that. Poisonous rain can't touch you, or you will go up in flames. So we were running as it rained. Everything was getting lit on fire. Buildings were falling. People were screaming. The acid pigeons were not at flight. And then we ran into the were-ravens and Malady. And we were talking about, well, Aesop and Malady were talking about getting Hush, what's going to happen with Hush. And Aesop wasn't having any of Malady's tricks, turned into 22, and proceeded to go after the ship that Hush was on Malady's ship. And as he was on that ship, he did end up getting to Hush. Malady chased after him. He almost ate Hush.
Yeah, look, you didn't see that. You don't even know it happened.
Didn't see that. Don't know how I know that. And meanwhile, we're down here surrounded by were-ravens. I'm sure that's fine. Rain is everywhere. And it ended with a ballista hitting the ship. Right before 22 could sink his beak into his daughter. Sorry if I forgot anything.
No, that's a pretty succinct recap. Thank you, Glace. You find a weird bit in your pockets.
45.
Thank you.
Do I feel compelled to shoot Aesop?
I am 100 feet off the ground in a ship that is currently flying away.
Actually,
fire.
higher than that at this point.
Oh.
It was ascending through the toxic cloud that actually goes up and exits the scar in the ceiling that leads to the surface of Skorge.
Alright. So here's the rub, right? This is player knowledge. Subject 22 was legitimately trying to rescue Hush, but he failed his bloodlust check, and he probably would have killed her if the ballista hadn't hit the ship when it did. Yeah.
Saved by an exploding ship.
Yeah.
Rinkaz, you and the rest of your group, after having found the young girl in the wheelchair
Oh yeah.
that had some significance tied to the regional manager of the 10th pit, Alderman, believing her to be some type of descendant of his, although at his age unsure of exactly how many generations removed she is. In her wheelchair, tossed over, with a little bit of acid burns on her arm that she was trying to keep off of her, but mostly collapsed in a covered alleyway where most of the acidic rain droplets didn't hit. You guys found her, as well as a nearby burning carcass, but hey, there's a few of those as you guys made your way through the city streets, headed towards the cargo landing area where the spelljammers enter through the scar and land in Skorge proper, the city itself. Upon taking the young girl there, that is where, as Glace mentioned, you guys ran into Malady / Subject 21 and were slowly but surely more and more visibly surrounded by these monstrous kenku. As the demand for the smaragda sheets continued to happen, and seeing that Hush, through a porthole, was on what looked to be an escaping lamprey-shaped spelljammer as it lifted off into the air some ways above you guys, Aesop, using his tattooed wings that lift off into a three-dimensional shape, he gave flight, chasing after Malady towards the ship as she, seeing him begin to give chase, ditched the idea of the sheets, just telling the monstrous kenku to essentially take you all out. As you guys all watch around, you are mostly covered in hoods or just some type of cloth wear. Sun Kong sort of stands at the ready, holding the handles of the wheelchair that pushes the young girl, but sort of standing in a almost defensive stance, ready to help defend the young girl as the monstrous kenku sort of clamber over these crates and boxes. You can see some of the acidic rain that hits them sizzles, and you see a bit of smoke leave up. It seems to harm them to some bit, but they seem somewhat resilient to it at the same time. You guys all watch as they slowly begin to close in on all of you.
Oh, no.
Sorry, guys. My bad.
Okay.
Can I quickly look around to see if there's either any innocent people or flammable objects in our immediate vicinity other than our cluster?
Make
Why
a
those-
perception check, you and anyone else who wants to.
Why those two things? Why specifically those two things? Oh, I got you.
Oh, Chemo sees everything.
Chemo's like, I'm pretty flammable.
Everything's flammable if it's hot enough.
23 for me.
Shit. Two very good rolls. Chemo, keeping eyes and your wits about you, as well as you and Viti quickly looking around. This is, as I mentioned before, a large open area. These spelljammers have some size to them, some of them. Some are very large. And so this area out here that is at the southern end of the city is a relatively large, open, empty space for these spelljammers to land and take off. Think of it like an airport strip, although maybe not as large, but it clearly quite a lot of space and real estate here. As you peer around, the only thing that's in the vicinity in VD that you notice as you guys approached before were those cargo boxes that you believed hid the ship that Malady had mentioned, although now it seems as though that was a ploy, at least from what it seems, as the monstrous kenku clamber over them, sort of encroaching on you guys. As you look around, NVD, you do notice in the distance, as well as you, Chemo, and you guys, I think, noticed this previously, that there are people here a little distance away, and through the thickness of the falling acidic raindrops, it's probably difficult for them to fully lay eyes on you guys. They seem to be frantically, quickly trying to enter and board what looks like a spelljammer in the shape of a pufferfish. It's large, round, and has the wood spine of what would make you think of and resemble like a pufferfish type of ship. It's got some size to it that could hold a relative decent good handful of folks. And from those good perception checks, Chemo, you can spot, not only do you see a mixture of what looks like just escaping slaves, but also some other folks. And with that 20 check, in the distance, sort of quickly waving some folks on as if in a hurried fashion, in almost a way that he doesn't necessarily want to do it, but he's just trying to get everyone to quickly get on so he can get the fuck out of here. You notice your contact, the supplier to the Scusiatelli, Zelrin. You can just make out his face in the distance. As you guys are peering around, you also look up and see a ballista bolt from the scaffold-like towers that sort of surround. Think of like a communication tower at an airport, except these on the top, made from wood, that build up on the tops, are large, huge, expansive ballistas. And out from one, in the distance, fires a large-looking bolt with what looks to be something packed on the end. It shoots through the air, and you watch as it nears the lamprey-like spelljammer and explodes in the air, very close by. The monstrous kenku peer up as the loud sound draws the attention of both you guys and seemingly the group that is a little distance away from you that are trying to board this pufferfish-like spelljammer. The kenku all stare up, seeing that this blast has happened near the lamprey ship. They stop their approach and quickly look to one another, jolting their heads back and forth as a erratic avian would do. And gripping their tight, monstrous claws against the grating, they push off with a moment's notice. Their large, open wings taking to the air. They begin to leave you guys and head up through the air towards the lamprey ship.
Oh, good. It's just going to be me that dies and not you guys. That makes me feel a little better.
No, you and Hush.
Chemo immediately starts breaking towards the pufferfish. We've got to go. We've got to move.
Yeah. I'll run after Chemo.
I'll grab Sun Wukong by the collar and drag him along.
Sun Kong points out and picks up the bag of holding that Aesop dropped as he began his pursuit of the ship that holds the stained smaragda sheets, and tosses it over your way, Chemo, to hold on to, since he's kind of trying to wheel the young girl as fast as he can.
Somebody tell Aesop that we're headed this way.
Maybe we can have the ship follow the other ship.
We'll see. Looks overcrowded. He may just want to get out of here.
Well, I flew a spelljammer once before. Maybe
Chemo shrugs.
borrow it.
Chemo shrugs. Well, there's the one that we need now, so let's go that.
Okay.
You can see in the distance, and again in the darkness, not only the general nature of the dim light that is the ambience of Skorge itself, but of course even more covered in this myriad darkness because of the large toxic cloud that, as it left the Scuzzworks, it sort of hit the ceiling and permeated throughout the city, larger than you guys had originally anticipated, keeping yourselves covered and moving through. You can see in the distance, it does seem like there are some other 1, 2, 3 spelljammers in the distance, but they're further away and they don't look like they are particularly manned by anyone. It's difficult to tell. The nearest one, though, is this pufferfish that seems to be at least doing what they can to just try and grab as many people before heading off. So do you guys head towards the pufferfish ship?
Yes.
All right.
Wait. Yes.
Is somebody gonna tell Aesop?
Oh, what? Aesop? Tell him what?
Where we're going?
Oh, well, I thought we were going to the other ship with this ship.
If you don't want to tell him, let's go.
Wait.
You guys catch up to the group that is now mostly boarding. You see, getting ready to close. It's one of those, like, it's like a private jet where it has, like, at the side a drop down sort of like wooden ladder for people to clamber on into. And as you guys catch up with the rest of the folks, you can hear them yelling, some screaming. You can hear the sounds of a few voices saying, "Don't let the rain touch you." You hear crying coming from some folk. They're all just covered in whatever they can to keep themselves out of the rain and quickly trying to clamber on. You see some folks pushing one another. And as you approach, Chemo, you can see now Zelrin doing what looks to be his best to keep the peace and usher everyone on board. He is close to waving the last group of 10 or so people on. It seems like it's a relatively tightly packed ship when he notices you and kind of just nods his head and kind of waves you over quickly.
I was gonna say, give him a short whistle and then what up? Nod. He's waving us on.
Yeah.
Getting there, Chemo kind of turns and says, maybe we should get another ship and help more of these people off.
That's definitely... Yeah, that sounds like a better idea. Do we see any other...
Yeah, he said there was a couple further on. Can we get into these ships? Is anybody good at that? Oh, wait.
It's possible. There are a ways out, and with your guys' perception checks, I will just say you don't notice anyone else around here, other than the occasional, rarely at this point because there's so much area here, but you do see the occasional burning corpse.
So I'll signal back to Zelrin. I'll give him like the whirly bird take off, not to wait on us. And we'll start heading to the next ship, I guess.
He says, "That's the last of them. You sure you don't want to get on board?"
We're gonna try and get another one.
Very well, but you may run into people who are trying to leave themselves. This is a friend of mine's. You're welcome to try, though. Good luck, he says. Alright, so is anybody boarding this one?
No.
I think we all have to stay for Aesop.
Sun Kong. Shh.
Yo.
Okay, bye.
Sun Kong appears and then immediately dies. You see one. Let me take a look here. Hang on just a second. As you peer around, Chemo, there is one that would probably be a good, at least on foot, 10-15 minute jaunt over to it because this area is so open and sparse. The closest one that you can at least make out from what you can tell, looks to be a tradesman-like ship. You've seen these ships before. They are ships that deal in products, stuff like that. They are medium-sized, housing a smaller crew, not a ton of people, a handful, and have large reddish fins, sometimes different color, but typically red fins as well as a gold sort of lining to them. It's a bit of a ways off, but it is possible that you guys could try and make it there hurriedly. So how do you guys approach this?
Can we see anything happening above us with Aesop? Or are they like too far up?
You see now, give me another perception check in BD.
Oh.
That's a 17.
You're able to make out as you try to clear your vision with a hand above your eyes without letting a lot of the raindrops hit the acidic nature of them burning into your skin. Peering up, you're able to see the tail of the lamprey ship entering the large, almost opaque, thick cloud that makes up the cloud that exits through the scar onto the surface of Skorge. They seem to be entering the last bit before being about level with the scar itself.
Then we kind of have to hurry. Ship's going into the cloud.
So how far away is the ship that we are after right now that we're running towards?
It's about a 10 to 15 minute, if you're moving it like a quick running pace to get to it. And factoring in the fact that Sun Kong is having to push this young girl with you guys.
But can he only move 70 feet a turn instead of 80?
Yeah, he still seems to be. He's able to move rather adeptly, but you do see that he can move a little less than the speed force speed that he usually does.
Yeah, his steadfast leopard spell is on cooldown right now. He can't.
Alright. I can cast Zephyr Strike and get there in a quarter of the time.
Woo!
So I'll do that and start working on the locks and stuff while they're making their way then.
You can do that if you'd like. Do you go ahead and do Zephyr Strike?
Yeah, I'll say, I'm gonna go, I'll get the door. Then...
Zephyr Strike, what does that look like as you initiate it?
I'm gonna make it kind of look more like my Shadow Kai stuff, so it's kind of just like Mode of Shadow, kind of just like Harry Potter's through the
I like that verb.
He's just like
Harry Potter's.
And then at the end of it, I just reappear as myself and continue on.
Cool.
So, how far would that let you move?
In total, it gives me a bonus 30-foot speed, so it makes me 60 foot a time. Oh, sorry. 75 feet at a time, twice, so 150 feet in one turn.
Alright, so I'll say that you, as you mentioned, probably cut down that speed close to half. You feel like in another good 5 to 7 minutes, just sort of Terminator style, sort of just making your way there, you would be able to reach the ship. Go ahead and make a perception check as you are quickly finding yourself nearing the ship.
No. It's a 9, I believe.
You cannot make out who exactly these figures are, but you do see 2, maybe 3 figures that seem to be moving around the base of the tradesmen. Can't tell what they're doing though. Just silhouettes in the darkness of the rain.
Well, they're either in the way or gonna help. Keep
Alright.
on making my way.
What are the rest of you guys doing?
Hauling ass.
And we gotta try and move as quickly as possible. Keep up.
You guys watch as Chemo jaunts forward, and the rest of you just try to keep pace with him, following the silvery, shadowy nature of his Zephyr Strike as he shifts through the darkness to cut forward.
Is there an animal that's super fast that I could polymorph into?
I don't
Wow.
know.
That's a
Is
great
there?
idea.
Can you have flying speed? Eagles are fast.
And they can fly.
I think they're 60 foot a second, or 60 foot turn.
Just
Jura
keep in
can
mind
fly
that
60.
keep in mind that if you're not covered, you will take some acid damage from the rain.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Bad
Doesn't
news.
work then.
Animal
I'll
forms
continue to
are
run
essentially-
whatever.
Animal forms are temp HP anyways.
That's true. I don't know.
Kyle.
What? Your fastest is going to be your horses and your eagles.
What's the eagle's HP? I like the sound of eagle more than a horse. We're dealing
Eagle
with birds here, so.
HP is 26.
That ain't bad.
Is 13, so yeah, go for eagle. Giant eagle, specifically.
I turn into a giant eagle and I try to make my way to the ship as fast as I can.
Hell yeah.
Alright. Hang on a second. Do you try in any way to... does your equipment transform with you, I'm assuming?
I would assume so.
Does it
That it
polymorph?
just like your whole entire being just transforms into this animal. That's what I would assume, but I don't.
Oh, what does the spell say?
Yeah, let's-
Polymorph all your equipment comes.
all of your stuff comes with you?
Polymorph.
I'm reading that.
I just want to be sure.
Well,
The
like,
target's gear melds into the new form. The creature can't activate, use, wield, or otherwise benefit from any equipment.
thank you. It's the very last paragraph, so I was on my way there.
Do you... So, Glace, you transform into this eagle. This large eagle. What's the size of it?
Large.
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 Can I go? Can I try to keep up with the
What's the size of the eagle? Does anybody know?
Large.
Large.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you guys were just making up time.
No,
I'm so
I've
sorry.
got animal forms on lock, but
Oh,
A large eagle. Glace is transformed to a large eagle. There you are. Brave, beautiful eagle. If you'll keep a tally of the HP that your eagle has, what's the movement speed of this giant eagle?
It says 80 flying speed. Kyle, what's the movement?
80 feet. Fine.
You know, guys, on D&D Beyond, all you have
Kyle,
to do...
You can also look this up. I wrote it down for you, and you can still look it up.
Here, I'll look it up so I don't have to depend on anyone.
80
Sorry.
flying speed, 26 HP, 13 AC.
Thanks, I'm gonna look them up.
Alright, so hang on here.
It's got multi-hit. It's got +5/2 hit.
Giant eagle.
Eagle!
Got him. Okay.
You are... I'm assuming you would kind of just double move from there, just speeding as fast as you can through the air, Glace, as this giant eagle.
Yes.
You swoop through the air, maintaining a decent amount of distance above the ground, but trying to stay low enough to where you can keep a sharp eye on everything as you head towards Chemo. You're almost about to catch up with him. You're not too far behind. And make a perception check as you peer up with your eagle head and look forward.
So that is going to be.
Eagle's bonus is +4.
Thanks. I don't know. I don't even know why I looked it up. It's an 18. Giving me shit for not looking it up. I look it up and all the answers are right.
If I didn't have just looked at it, I wouldn't have known.
The sizzle and sting of the acid rain hits your wings as you fly through. A couple droplets hit you, and you take 6 acid damage so far.
Okay.
You continue trying to stay unburdened from the sting and pain to continue veering. With your 18 check, you're now able to see that it looks as though a few drow. It's difficult to tell what affiliation they may have with the city. They seem to be covered in some hoods and stuff, but your sharp eagle eye can make out that it looks like 2 or 3 drow seem to be untying some knots to this tradesman ship that keeps these ropes that keep it tied down.
Murder them.
Okay. I can't do anything from here, but I see that, and I just go, because I can't say anything.
Amazing.
All right. Everyone else continues giving chase. As you guys try to catch up with the ship. Hang on just a second, I'm just moving some stuff around here.
Even in a shadow form, you can see Cable kind of lurch forward at the car. Like that.
Worst dad of the year.
He's trying. Being a parent is hard. I would assume.
I mean, as far as you guys know, Subject 22 has already rescued his daughter and is off the ship.
Definitely didn't try to eat her.
Definitely did not try to eat her.
As you guys are headed that way, in the distance, although not as close as that first bolt that seemed to nearly strike the ship, you hear the sound of one more explosion coming from high up above.
So, when we last left off, I was knocked across the room just as I was about to sink my claws into this vulnerable creature in front of me, right?
Subject 22, yes, as your bloodthirsty nature was beginning to consume you, the figure of Hush in front of you, too tantalizing not to try to rip to shreds. You,
So fucked up.
having pulled the cage door open and free, began to slowly step forward before another ballista bolt made contact with the ship. A loud explosion can be heard, and you feel yourself being thrown through the air.
Oh, nice. I grunt as I land wherever I may land.
You can see, as you are thrown back, that a large section more towards the front of the ship is blown away and asunder, and the flames kick up out towards you. As this happens, catching just a bit outside as you're sort of thrown through the air in what feels like slow motion through one of the portholes, you can still see that the ship is pushing through this toxic cloud.
But Hush has her mask, right?
Husk does seem to have her mask on, although with the explosion you can see both her as well as yourself launched through the air. She still seems to be in the cage. You were launched towards one of the nearby walls. Please make me a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, Jason. I'm not good at these. Oh, I don't want to use my inspiration just yet.
You, bird.
No, fuck it. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. That's a 14.
Okay. You take, as your back smashes into the nearby wood wall, flecks of sharp wood catching at you, but the most pain is coming from just the brunt force of being slammed against it. You take 10 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
And
well,
as
that is at least halved, because I'm lycanthropic right now.
Okay. And the explosive nature of this combustible ballista bolt sears your skin for 12 points of fire damage.
Oh, I don't resist that, boys. We are bloodied. Oh no.
You can feel the force of what feels like gravity almost pushing against you against the wall here, as you almost naturally just sort of frantically try to peer around and pull yourself against it. The smoke in the air being quickly pulled out as if suction from the open hole in the ship now. The flames kicking up around the debris from where it was blown away. You notice a porthole nearby, and as you are just sort of trying to quickly pull yourself from the wall, looking out of the porthole, you see that the ship seems to be pausing in its ascent. And you can see now the toxic cloud is clearing.
Oh.
And you
That's
appear
odd.
now in a strange moment. As the toxic cloud clears, you can see now that the ship has cleared the scar, the surface of Skorge, and is some dozens of feet above the surface, exiting the pluming toxin cloud that escapes the huge tear, the scar in the earth. In this weird sort of moment of almost no gravity, you can see out through the porthole the surface of Skorge, darkness that pervades the entirety of it. In the distance, some greenish cloud, and out on the horizon, you see the sun from the nearby star piercing through the porthole and dotting your body with a bit of light. You now feel, as you notice this, that the ship begins to rapidly descend.
Oh.
The gravity pulls against your body, and you feel yourself pulled to the back of this wooden wall. As you hear a sound of what sounds like rolling or tumbling, you peer over, and through the thick bars of the cage nearby, you can see that similarly, Hush herself has been thrown to the back wall. However, she is in reach. Subject 22.
Okay. Jason, would you say a full round has passed? Since my last bloodlust check.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I gotta make another one, fam.
Use it. Use your inspiration.
I'm gonna use my inspiration. Because I
All
want
right.
to rescue Daughteru.
All
Alright,
right.
bloodlust check. I would have failed too. Holy shit, I would have failed again. Oh, okay. Whew.
My heart can't take this.
Oh god, I would have failed. Oh my god. All right. I pull myself off of the wall, and I lurch towards Hush with an outstretched claw, and Subject 22 says, "Hurry now! No time for feasting. Grab hand claw. We leave."
Make a persuasion check at disadvantage as she, still almost stuck to the wall, pushes away from you.
Because they're both the same score, I'm gonna say it's intimidation.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Hiya! Oh my god! Hey, Jason. Wait, Jason, does a 3 do anything for me?
Yeah, what's the bonus to that?
A 0.
Oh, no.
Aesop's not a face, y'all. He's a murder bird.
Subject 22, you are very used to, as you have mauled plenty of victims before, the look of terror and nervousness in the eyes of your foes, and you can tell through the mask that Hush doesn't see her father in this moment, but she sees Subject 22, and she pushes herself away.
Can I attempt to grab her by force?
You would have to reach through the cage, or you'd have to make a constant
cage.
Yes, so you're separated by the bars. You can try to reach through the cage to grab her, or you, because of the force of gravity as the ship begins to descend rapidly, you'll need to make an athletics check to try and pull yourself free from the wall so you can make it over back to the opening of the cage to then try to get a hold of her.
Okay, Subject 22 is not very strong, but he is really nimble. I at least get advantage on this, so I'll give it a shot. Athletics, you said?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, that's a 7.
What? I thought you said you had advantage.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Yeah, advantage. What am I thinking? Disadvantage? No, that's silly. 17.
With a 17, it's difficult, Subject 22, but you're able to, pushing your monstrous claws against the back of the wooden wall, push yourself off and away from it, and pull. It's like trying to reach the center of the gravitron at the fair as it spins around. You can feel the G-force pull and gravity pulling against you as you try to push against it and make your way towards the opening of the cage, all the while trying not to hold yourself in position with any of the bars as they are all laced with silver. But
yes,
you are able to make it in front of the opening. Hush now looks at you and says, "Dad?"
Yes, maybe. Just take Claw Hand. You frustrate me, hatchling. This is as nice as he could probably be. I mean, he's a wild animal right now.
She pushes against the wall one of her clawed raven-like hands and reaches out towards yours. Obviously not as strong as you are. She's doing her best. You can see her extended hand, and you go to reach out with one of your monstrous claws to grab hers.
Clutch. I will clutch it and pull her out of the cage.
You
kind
clutch,
ungracefully.
Pull her out of the cage ungracefully, almost kind of pulling her by you a few feet.
Yeah.
And as this happens, you feel the lurch of the ship as it smashes into the surface of Skorge.
Oh no! Wasn't quick enough. This is fine. We're fine. Everything's fine.
Things go black for a second, Subject 22. Meanwhile.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you, Jason.
the rest of the group.
Come on.
Chemo, you have moved quick enough. Now seeing a very large eagle flying just above. You can hear the thrust of its wings as it propels itself through the air. You are now close enough to where you are able to see now what looks to be, you saw the figures before, but they are silhouettes. Now you can tell that they seem to be drow who are frantically seem to be loosing the last of the ropes to this tradesman's ship. You see one of them actually board, pulling himself on a ladder that seems to be just like one of those flimsy ladders that you can just drop down and climb up aboard. He seems to be crawling up it. The two others seem to be hastily moving about the bottom, quickly untying the last of the ropes. You're probably about 30, 40 feet out, as well as you, Glacé, flying through the air. The rest of you are moving behind and can see the two, as well as the general shape, a silhouette of the ship. However, you are doing your best to catch up, and Sun Kong, despite being as fast as lightning, having to push the young girl along with you, and as well as trying not to push her quick enough so that she is unsafe to where the droplets hit her. He's trying to maintain a safe pace for her. You guys are a little bit behind. So Glacé, in your eagle form, and Chemo, what do you guys do as you're approaching?
I want to point my eagle claw in the direction of the drow and see what Chemo gets from that, what he says.
Chemo will nod, point at the one climbing the ladder, then point at the one, another one. Yeah.
You can make an insight check to see what he's trying to communicate.
I'm a dumb fucking bird, Jason.
Uh-oh.
Huh?
Squirrel.
Can I?
Go ahead.
I guess I will fly. I'll start flying towards the one climbing up the rope. Actually, can I just fly inside the ship if it's open?
Well, so there are two down at the bottom who they seem to be untying a rope that seems to be, you can probably guess by now, it holds the Spelljammer down.
Yeah.
The other last of what looks like the three that you can see here is climbing a ladder that seems to be on top of the deck. As you near the tradesman, the top, you can see that there's clearly enough room for you as a large eagle to land. However, the entrances that would lead to any of the areas that would go below deck or inside of the ship itself, you're too large to fit inside because of your form.
Okay. Well, then can I get close and turn into Glacé form?
How close do you get? And as you approach, you take, hang on just a second here, another 5 points of acid damage as just the few droplets kind of sizzle against your feathers.
Since this is a concentration spell, do I need to roll for that?
You can end concentration whenever you want. I'm just trying to figure out, so as you approach, you can get as close as you want. Where exactly are you wanting to stop to transform from your eagle form to Glacé again?
Where I can get into the ship.
So on top of the deck, then?
Yeah.
Okay. You land with a relative thud on the top deck of the ship, having never really taken flight before as a giant eagle, or been an eagle in general. You can see now as the drow who was climbing the ladder begins to pull himself up from the side of the ship. He yells loudly, seeing you, as you shift and the magic surrounds you. Your bird form doing the animorph thing where you shift back into Glacé form.
In 5 stages.
Who are you? He yells, pointing a finger.
Oh, I'm a visitor, off-worlder. We're gonna need this ship.
Nice.
I mean, you can come along, but you don't. I mean, we're gonna take it.
Make an
Yes.
intimidation check.
Ooh, why can't I roll tonight or ever? It's gonna be. I rolled a 3, but it's a 16 altogether.
Oh, that's wow.
Jeez.
Nasty.
You can tell that he is clearly intimidated by you, but also pulls a short sword out as he still stays beside the deck. As you're approaching Chemo, you can see, as well as Glosse, as you turn now, there is a door at the end that it doesn't lead below deck. It sort of like has a raised area that leads you into probably a room that's on this deck that may lead below down into the ship. The door opens and 2 other drow step out, staring at you. They begin to draw their weapons, unsure of who you are.
So we
What do
see
you do,
5 of
Chemo?
them all together.
Chemo, you can tell now at this point that you notice 5. You're closing in, but you're at least enough of a distance away to see the 2 figures like entering from the top of the ship that you can see, kind of seeing Glosse.
The one that Glosse was just threatening.
He's still
there-
on the side of the ladder, like he was about to pull himself over the side of the ship, but has stopped. He's pulled his sword, but Glosse seems to be saying something to him, and he's stopped in his tracks.
Alright. Is there anywhere that you would consider dim light up on top by Glosse?
There doesn't seem to be any light on top of the ship, from what you can tell. It seems to be, somewhat scarcely lit, but not dim light, although there is plenty of dim light and shadow that surrounds sort of the underneath of the ship.
Alright. Well, then I'll go ahead and use my Blessing of the Raven Queen.
Ooh.
Which
What
is
the fuck does
once,
that?
once per long rest, as a bonus action, I can teleport 30 feet to an unoccupied space.
Nice.
So I appear next to Glosse and take a charge at the 2 that are...
Oh.
No. I just appear behind her with, sword out, and then throw a bunch of coin at their feet. I tell them, I say, you can get off of this planet one of 2 ways. With gold in your pocket, or with ashes in your pocket.
Nice.
Tell me how much gold you threw down first off.
It was the bag that Lord Douchey Baron gave me, so it was 500 coin.
Lord
Oh!
Douchey Baron. Oh, that's so much coin! Aesop would be like, well, here, let me take some of that back first.
It's a thick enough bag in this moment, Chemo, as you're just quickly trying to, parlay as quickly as possible. The bag bounces, hitting the floor, and coins spill out across the deck. They can clearly see that this bag holds a considerable amount of coin. Make either a persuasion or an intimidation check at advantage.
Woohoo!
Right. Oh boy.
Just kill them.
You don't mean deception, do you?
I mean, it's not really lying. I assume you're
No,
going
it's
to
not.
murder
It's-
all of them if they don't
it's just
comply.
It's the only charisma score I've got anything good. 15's
Nice.
not bad. 15?
Sun Kong, are you here?
Hello.
Oh, hey, monkey boy.
Yeah.
I'll fill you in just a second. 15, because you guys are just entering their ship in a tough place as they're trying to get out of here because people are dying all around him, would have failed. But seeing just the mass amount of coin laying on the ground, they stare at it and stare back. Off the ship! One of them yells to the one that seems to be who was ascending the ladder. It's not worth our lives, he says, as he quickly scoops up the coin.
As soon as he says that, I sheath my sword so he knows it's a deal.
You see them hurriedly, still watching you, looking back to make sure you don't try to backstab them. They pick the coin up, hefting the bag to a side and tying it in place against their belts. and they just quickly, just like not even using the ladder. It's not like a large enough fall for them to break their legs or anything, but they don't even give a shit. They're just jumping over the sides
Before
to
the last
get
one
off of it.
jumps, say, hey,
The one who is on the ladder begins to descend but stops.
where are the keys?
It's a spell jammer.
Oh, this is your key, honey. This is the
And
key.
he quickly begins climbing down the ladder.
Amazing.
Classe, you're not in an eagle form anymore.
Yeah.
At this point, the rest of you guys, as this is happening, are able to get in enough distance that you can see what's going on, and within the next 30 or seconds or so would find your way to the tradesman itself. Glace, Chemo, as you are watching the drow figures kind of disappear, they seem to be moving actually in the distance to what looks like the silhouette of another spelljammer. Perhaps there's more than one that they have in service. You guys see the rest of your group. Ringkaz with Chunk bouncing along as Aesop took to flight so he couldn't follow, and Vidi with Jira, and Sun Kong pushing the young girl in the wheelchair headed towards you guys. Is there anything that you guys do standing on top of the deck, or are you guys that are beginning to close in and meet up with the others?
For this poor girl pray as Sun Kong runs at 100 feet per second, push her through the street.
I got you.
Class A, you know how to run this thing.
Oh, yes, I've done it before. Quite
Alright.
exhilarating.
Kimu will start, like, finding a good way to get everybody in quickly.
Okay.
So,
I
like,
wanna-
working my way through to find the doors that are accessible and shit.
And I just want to look at where we're going to be headed, like where the ship is currently, that Aesop is on.
Glossa, you know that any ships leaving or entering the Skorge have to go through the plume of toxic smoke that exits out through the large tear in the surface called the Scar.
Gotcha.
So you know that if you just essentially ascend towards that plume of toxic cloud, enter into it, and continue ascending, that eventually you will pierce through the surface and be able to exit.
Okay.
You saw this as you guys had landed here a few sessions back, but chose the route of going through the caves to get here into Skorge instead of going through the Scar. The rest of you catch up. Ringkaz, you can see Chemo sort of waving you up above. There's a clear ladder there to climb up that was set there by the drow. You're able to climb up. Chunk, using his multiple arms, pulls up. MVD, you, as well as wherever Jira disappeared to, because now Jira's gone for some reason.
Yeah, I dismissed him as we were leaving.
Oh, okay.
Because he had 1 HP. So.
Okay. Jira disappears. NVIDIA, you're able to climb up. Sun Kong, you get up to the ladder. It's, it's pretty vertical, and you see this young girl in her wheelchair.
Ooh. Can I mage hand to help?
You know that Mage Hand wouldn't be able to lift her whole body up, but it may be able to provide some assistance in trying to, grab a limb or something, or push against her back with its magic arm.
I feel like I could probably just carry her if someone wants to try to bring up her wheelchair, or I can just continue to carry her from this point.
You guys would all hear this. I'm assuming you're talking through your communicators as you're coordinating on this ship here.
Well, you know what? Your ship is powered by magic, so in VD, we can give you a crash course if you'd like to.
Don't call it a crash course. That's the worst thing you
Oh,
could
we can
possibly
give you
call
a
it.
crash course before we take off, and I'll help bring the girl up.
I like it.
We do a landing course too.
We could do that as we go.
Chemo and VD, do you guys try to, as you're ascending onto the deck, and VD, do you guys try to head inside, try to find the Spelljammer helm?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get to the cockpit to take over so that Glace can help out.
All right.
With getting the girl on the ship.
All right. The area as you enter into this sort of top deck you can see a ladder now that descends down into the lower section of the deck. As you guys are making your way into the area of the tradesmen that leads below, you do notice that... Let me take a look here. I'm just trying to actually use the components of the ship itself. You're assuming, in VD, that towards the front end of the ship is probably inside of the ship, somewhere where the spelljammer helm may be. You guys can see some crates and stuff like that that may hold some typical trade goods, but it looks like the ship probably was dropping items off and not picking up, so it's not really packed with a ton of goods per se. But you guys are just trying to take that in, and Vita, you push forward. As you push through a few rooms, you can see this place has a few rooms attached to the sides. You enter into the front area that, as you perceived to be as you were heading down the stairs, is actually the cockpit. You see the seat of the spelljammer. There is a very subtle but effervescent glow that sort of shifts and wanes from the seat. You've seen this before. You've rode some spelljammers moving from to and fro as your sort of space taxi. You know, a magic user uses their magical abilities to funnel through the spelljammer, and that is what magically lifts the ship and propels it through the air. You begin to take your seat and focus on the magics, attempting to figure out how to get it all to work. Glosse, you were going to help Sun Kong?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pull her up.
Sun Kong, you seeing Glosse begin to just like slide down the, like, you know, like fireman pole, but just slide down the ladder because it's kind of slicked, slides down and turns. You guys know that this is a younger, you can tell, somewhat gaunt, frail girl. She's probably going to be easier to carry than her almost like brass-like wheelchairs. It's made from wood in some parts, but it's almost like a copper or brass.
We don't need that.
It looks possible that you could maybe pull it up. It would just be a tougher athletics check. It's up to you guys.
We can just carry
Well,
her.
like I said, I feel like I have no problem. I will get her up. I can climb with just my feet.
So give
Anyway,
me a, as you both contemplate this, seeing that the wheelchair has some heft to it, Sun Kong, give me a athletics check to just kind of pull her up and close to you as you ascend the ladder.
Can I use acrobatics?
With this, no, only because you're just
Okay.
trying to hold the weight of her and just using the strength of your body to do so.
What does she look like when we take her from her chair? Because this might change my decision depending on what she looks like after she's being taken from her chair.
Because Sun Kong is doing this, and because he has been pushing her wheelchair, trying to even go slower than he typically does to keep her remain safe, even in sort of her rebreather mask and interesting sort of top helm that has sort of like work that these like pipes that run through, she just quickly grabs hold of him and holds on to his back.
Okay.
Clasp her hands around his back and holds on. Sun Kong, what was your total? 18?
18, yeah.
You just sort of wrap a hand around her bottom to just kind of hold her up against you, and you just, using your other hand, just and your ambidextrous nature, you just quickly pull yourself up the ladder and onto the top of the deck.
Cool.
In VD, you feel a magic sensation pervading through your senses as you sit in this chair. You close your eyes. There's a blurriness to them. Even though your eyes are closed and you are surrounded by the darkness that would typically happen with eyes closed, you feel a sense. There is a colored light. Think of it like I know I keep referencing real world stuff, but think of it like Daredevil vision. There's sort of like a pulsing feeling of the edges of the ship's rooms and you sense in a weird way, it's not like you can exactly perceive like a camera where they are, but you have a general sensation, a light that pervades your mind as you almost feel like your vision is surrounding the ship with an X-ray like nature. You know, as long as you focus where your shipmates are, you see and feel a light on the top deck. You can also feel a general sense of your surroundings, as if in some way the ship, through this glow as you see the walls, you can see through them as if they're transparent outside. And as you see everyone has boarded the top, you just have this feeling inside of you. You, just like in a dream, have this sense to just lift the ship off of the surface. And no longer tied down by the ropes or anything that held it in place, everyone feels the ship begin to slowly and safely ascend into the air.
At least you guys are fine.
Oh, look at that! He did it!
What do you guys do as the ship is ascending? Do you stay on the top deck? What do you do?
Are there any weapons? Like, does this ship have any, like, arrows or... I don't know, any weapons on
I
it?
go to the
Ballista?
side of the ship and
Yeah,
pull out
ballista.
my rifle. It's got a gun now.
You don't see any sort of trebuchets or large ballistas on the ship. However, at the back end, that room I mentioned, you do notice there on the raised area that leads into a room on the top deck. There are actually stairs on the opposite ends that lead up that you could ascend to, and you do notice now up top, it's not terribly large, but you do see what looks like a crossbow bolt thrower on the far tail end.
Sorry for not muting myself. Anyway, okay, that's good to know.
Where's Lisa?
Yes, let's look for the ship and keep our eyes out for anything firing at us.
Alright, you guys get the sense that as the ship continues to ascend, once it begins to enter the toxic cloud for you to funnel up through the scar, you'll probably want to go below deck, or at least surround yourself in something so you're not just standing out on the top deck surrounded in the toxic cloud. But for now, you watch as the ship ascends. In Vita, you can tell all of your friends are bored and safe, and you just continue feeling this sensation of just moving the ship as if just by thought through the air. It's slow, and you want to take it slow just because you don't want to move it too fast to smash into anything. You know that once you get in the cloud, it'll be difficult to see in this cloud, so you'll just want to ascend from there. Glacé Clatter sort of looks around, having ascended the stairs and looking over at you.
Oh, okay.
And you guys begin to ascend into the air.
This is fine.
Meanwhile, bleeding out in a burning husk on the ground.
You're probably
God.
wondering how I got this.
It all started when I murdered a bunch of test subjects in the name of science with my wife.
Just for funsies, it was Tuesday.
Science isn't funsies. It's serious business. Oh God! Oh, no! Jason, no! No, Jason, why? Why are the fire sound effects? No!
Come on up to my planet. We got a two-piece combo right here.
Shut the fuck up with the fried chicken jokes, you dirty motherfucker!
I like it.
And the last minute before the crash, Subject 22, as you brace for impact, either make me an acrobatics or athletics check.
Oh, let's get on that acrobatics, son. That's a 20 unnatural.
20 A natural is just enough to save.
Oh my god.
What? Holy
Oh
shit!
my god.
What did I just prevent?
As the ship smashes into the ground, you're thrown about. You just see pieces of fire and burning wood thrust through the air as the ship smashes into the ground. You take, because you saved, 24 points of bludgeoning damage.
Ah, well, it's at least halved. Can I have my token, Jason?
It's a beefy
Hang on
bird.
just a second.
I would be 100% dead if I didn't have the half damage shit.
Oh my god.
Sorry, it was 24 before the half.
It was 24 after being halved.
Whoa! Yeah, I would have been fucking dead.
What about Hush?
Oh no, I'm at 5 hit points, y'all.
Hush was in his arms though. Oh my god.
Hush is wrenched from your arms as this crash happens and you brace for impact. There is a moment of blacking out as the ship just careens into the surface. You are like in the lower deck of a crashing ship that has already had pieces blown from it. So a lot of damage could have happened here, but you quickly brace for impact.
A lot of damage, huh?
Throwing your clawed hands in front of your face to just mitigate whatever you can as your body tumbles and tosses through. The entire lower deck is just wrenched asunder. You can feel the piercing pieces of wood and singe of fire as you open your eyes now to see the entire thing just turned upside down. Pieces of the deck have just holes just blown through the top. Large portions are just rendered asunder. The cage where Hush was in just seems to be just torn completely through. Pieces of iron bar, just some of them just thrown into the side of the ship and stick out of it. Hush is nowhere to be seen, but you also can't have a really good visible view as there's just so much debris in your face. There is enough room to try and pull yourself out through to get to the top, though.
I would like to try to do that, but do I have the scent? Like, because I can track using my nose. Like, can I smell Hush? That sounds so weird. Can I smell Hush nearby?
Oh, so as you take a minute, you can feel from about waist high on down you're not trapped, but you can feel that you're surrounded by just pieces of wood and debris. You can see flames licking through the open hole up above that seem to be permeating the top of the ship. You're not sure how long you were knocked out once it crashed. You lift your beak in the air, breathing in, trying to pick up the scent of Hush. You smell the singe and embers of the flames around. But, subtle, you pick up the scent of Hush.
Okay. I try to pull myself from the wreckage so I can get a visual. That'd be the first thing I try to do.
Okay. You working to pull yourself free from the wreckage and out through what is left of a large gash, a hole in the ship. Pull yourself out through, just rending your claws through, tearing through as blood pours through, caking through your feathers and everything else.
I hate to be a rules lawyer about this, but I have to obey my upsides and my downsides with my character.
Sure.
Has it been 10 minutes since I originally turned into Subject 22?
No.
Okay. All right. I rend my way through the wreckage and I call out, "Hatchling!"
You pull yourself from the wreckage. Although I will say, I don't want to metagame and tell you how long it's exactly been.
Sure.
But you've transformed. After this 10 minutes, would you revert back?
Yes, he reverts back to Aesop.
You've done this transformation and held it for the 10 minutes, long enough in your time and experience with Subject 22 to know that there's only maybe a few minutes left. You can feel your form beginning to shift and contract just a little.
In that case, I would try to find Hush as soon as possible in case, I need to use 22 strength to, like, dig her out from somewhere. Because Aesop's not strong enough to do it.
Alright. I am going to move the map. And I would like you to move to the top left.
Oh man, look at this stuff. Oh my God, Jason, what is this? Okay, I see my character. I see my 5 hit points, and I see Hush and Malady.
Pull yourself through the wreckage, through the open hole onto the top of the deck. Your vision is somewhat blurry and hazy, but begins to focus again now that some dim light begins to hit it from the darkness of the deck below. You see at the far end, closer towards the front of the crashed ship, 2 large, relatively injured but still standing monstrous kenku, and what looks to be Malady pulling Hush up onto her feet. You can see that Malady tosses what looks to be like an empty potion, looks like perhaps a potion of healing flask into the nearby fires. You notice as you peer around, just trying to take it all in this moment, that you're on the surface of Skorge. You can see a large toxic cloud coming from the scar growing in the distance. You know that you're a little ways away from where the ship cleared the scar, but not terribly far.
Oh, sorry. On my screen, my token is on the ship.
You are, yes.
Oh,
I mean,
okay,
I'm sorry. The ship itself is on the surface of Skorge, so you're free from the city.
Got it.
You notice that Malady seems to be handing some type of item to Hush, and you can tell now that Hush's mask is cracked badly.
Oh no.
You can give me a perception check.
21.
Subject 21, okay. With that, you can tell through the blurriness of your vision, it appears to be some type of dagger that looks to be caked with something. As Malady finishes, she turns, seeing you pulling yourself free, and looks back.
Do you see now, Hush? Your father can't control himself. He is the progenitor of this all. And he kept it all from you.
Hush turns to view you.
She does not lie. Your little bird father kept me from you. But I will protect you, hatchling. You get your claws off of my daughter.
Hush looks at you and says, I want to speak to my dad.
Very well. All right, little bird. You have control again. and I kind of shrink back into Aesop size, who's pretty fucked up, so he's gonna lean pretty hard on his walking cane.
All right, you'll have to update his token, but
That's fine. 5.
Okay.
I'm at 5. And I'm poisoned, and I'm bloodied, and I'm leaning on my cane.
you see Hush almost pull back a little bit as she watches your monstrous form shift and shrink down. You quickly sort of pulling out your sword cane and digging it into what's left of the ruin-covered surface of the deck just to hold yourself up. Hush puts her hands underneath her coat and looks at you for a second and says, "Why didn't you tell me?"
You were never supposed to see who I really was. That creature that travels with me. Listen, Hush. I could tell you everything later, but your mother and we did horrible things on Udu. But you have to understand, we did it for you. We did it for all of kenku kind. We did it to find a cure. I'm so sorry, Hush. Please. Malady. And I'll try to take one hobbling step forward. Please don't hurt her.
Jason, it says the stream's saying you're muted. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh. Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's okay. I'll just repeat it real quickly. Sorry. Malady turns to you and says,
I found you all alone, having been caught and forced into labor at the factory. You didn't come together with him here, did you?
and she shakes her head no. Malady says,
Did he even tell you?
Hush looks back at you, Aesop, as Malady says,
Do you see now, Hush? He cannot be trusted.
Hush, hush. I lied to you, but I still have enough semblance to know what I did was wrong. I really thought your mother died in that accident. And I know for a fact now that she did, because there is not enough of her left in that shell to even recognize you. 22 recognizes you. I recognize you. Hush, please.
The father you once knew has been overrun with guilt and deceit. You cannot even trust him outside of his monstrous nature.
Malady turns towards you, Aesop.
Oh, how I worked to get the cure, Aesop. What
Malady looks back to the monstrous kenku.
What we've sacrificed. I don't have the sheets, but there can always be another way. What's more important is the protection of this one from what you become.
Malady turns back to Hush.
I've done terrible things, but all for justifiable means. While I waited for you, I worked the combustive powder into the water system that perpetuates the areas of the wealthy slave owners and families in Skorge. It was a low dosage, but over the past weeks, as they've consumed enough for it to become effective. That toxic rain cloud I had you all create didn't serve as a mere diversion. No, I know it would catch at the cave ceiling of Skorge and expand, dousing the town and causing mass immolation. I have single-handedly dealt a lethal blow to Skorge, the likes of which no other's been able to achieve. No doubt, many innocents perished. But I have turned Skorge into a furnace the likes of which enslaved people will never return to. How does it feel? I know how to produce the cure, Aesop. And despite everything I've done, it has never been as monstrous as what you've accomplished. Hush.
Malady leans in a bit.
Did he tell you about the origin of the graves near his lab?
Hush looks back to you, Aesop.
Hush. What your mother and I did, you should not forgive us. 20 test subjects buried beneath our lab, but I pay for that every day. What is left of your mother just burned down an entire town and all of the innocents within. I've learned from our mistakes, but she clearly has not.
Make a perception check, or I'm sorry, persuasion check, Aesop.
Can I make a perception check instead? It's much better when I do that. Oh, holy shit, that's a 16!
As Hush studies you as you say this, you watch as Malady reaches up underneath her mask. You now notice, where you didn't before, what look to be breathing tubes that run up underneath. She, wrenching what looks to be a burned hand, grasps them and pulls them out. She turns back to you and then to Hush, and then looks back once more.
How could someone like yourself ever hope to be the savior to our people when you murdered the unwilling to achieve it?
You did it with me! We did it together! We believed in what we were doing! We believed in a future for her!
You're so narcissistic,
she says, and outstretching behind her are 2 white feathered wings.
You don't even recognize me, do you? Not that we ever spoke face to face, but your unwillingness to put the two together shows your egocentricity, only thinking about yourself. I've taken the cure from you, and now I will show your daughter a better future without you, one she deserves, one I could never give mine. You probably never even knew her real name. You simply knew her as Subject 20.
And you see as Malady reaches up and pulls her mask free, you see a burned kenku face with a scar running down the center. And at the edges, you can see white-tipped feathers. Aesop, you made a history check a few sessions back when you found the doll, the rag doll.
Yeah, the white doll.
You remember something about a albino kenku, but you just couldn't put your mind to it. Perhaps you were shutting that part out with the check, but now you remember. Subject 20 was a young albino kenku.
They said she had disappeared, but I knew better. I realized what you had done with her, but I was too late. I couldn't save her in time from you and your wife's machinations. I watched afar as she was buried. I visited her grave when no one else watched. When your lab went up in flames, I was the one who pulled you out, even as the smoke destroyed my lungs. I wasn't going to let the fire claim you. That would be my honor. But before I could, I saw your daughter approaching from afar looking for you. In my weakened state, I could not take her from you then. So I've waited. I found what was left of your research. The final piece were the sheets. I could have taken them myself with the help of my willing participants.
She looks back to the monstrous kenku.
But I decided to take on the name Subject 21 in attempts to lure you and her here.
Hush, she says, turning back.
Now is your chance, our chance to build a better future for our people. But you must decide with whom it is built. I am not innocent. But the sins I bear are done for righteous reasons, unlike your father's past. I freed our people where your father used them as unwilling test subjects. You must choose.
Hush looks to Malady, and then back to you, Aesop. Do you say anything?
At this point, he'd be leaning really forward, down on his cane, just looking at Hush and not making eye contact with 20. And I think he would just say, "I'm sorry, I wasn't a better father, Hush. And I know it's too late, but 20, I'm sorry for everything my wife and I did. But please, just Hush can't go with you. Let her walk her own path. It's something I should have let her do earlier. She's so strong now. Let her go. Let her conduct her own research, make her own discoveries. Don't make her live in my shadow anymore."
It is not your choice, it is hers. I will not hold her against her will as long as she makes a decision.
She looks back at Hush. Hush looks at you longingly and pulls her broken mask from her face. You now see Hush's real kenku-like face. She looks to both of you, as if unable to decide.
No,
Hush says. You hear Malady audibly sigh. You watch as Malady throws a hand up, and one of the monstrous kenku, not forcibly, but to hold her in place, pulls her back. She tries to wrestle against it.
Aesop.
Malady says, beginning to shift your way a bit.
I think as the creature grabs her, Aesop would stumble forward one more square, probably, out of desperation.
Malady looks to you and says,
Aesop, fate and circumstance have brought us to this place where the same flames that birthed us have returned to take one of us with them. One of us will die, free of the weight we bear on our souls and released from this world. The other must continue on, facing down the demons of our past. I have waited for this moment.
You see as she outstretches her hands, now covered in sharply nailed gloves.
Will you fight me as the man you are? Or will Hush watch as you become the uncontrollable monster that hides just underneath?
With that, Aesop, I need you to roll initiative.
Cap! Oh no, that's low! That's low! Oh, I only have 5 hit points! I'm so fucked!
Oh shit, man. Oh shit, dude.
Let's take a look-see here. Okie dokie. Oh dear.
Oh, god damn it! Oh, shit!
As this happens, those of you in the Spelljammer, Nvidi, as it pushes through, you can feel it moving through the toxin cloud. It's difficult now to sense the surroundings outside of that general area, but you know that you are beginning to push up out to the surface of Skorge. The rest of you, seeing that the ship has entered into this toxic cloud, takes refuge inside. Sun Kong, you set the young girl down. She looks up at you afraid. You say anything?
I told you already, and I mean it. I won't let any harm come to you. But I may have to leave you for a bit.
No.
I also need to save a...
No,
There's a
please.
friend that needs me.
Make a persuasion check.
It's 13. I have no bonus.
Please don't leave, she says.
Go, son, come, go. Break her heart.
I promise you, you will be okay. Everyone here on this ship will protect you, as I would. I trust them all with my life. I know they can protect you, but I need to save my friend. You must understand. I'm sorry.
She looks down into her open hands. You can see there's tears streaming down her face, but she looks up at you and nods solemnly. The rest of
Thank you.
The rest of you taking refuge inside, either below deck or on the top deck inside of the housing, are able to see out of the porthole that, as well as you and Vita, you get the sense that you're leaving now the toxic cloud, exiting out back onto the surface. You're a few stories high now, having cleared the surface and exiting through the scar. Those of you who want to exit out onto the deck, you can, and if you'd like to make perception checks, you can do so.
Gotta look for Papa Aesop.
Do I get to make a perception check since I could see around the ship or not?
You can see around this ship, however, your senses don't pervade out far enough to be able to sense something like that.
Wow, Rinkai.
Well, I rolled a 1 on my perception, so I get a bad boy card. And I need I need a inspiration card as well. Can you get a second?
Yep.
Oh, we get one for. I get one then. From the first perception check.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Take your good boy card. Rinkaz, you get a good boy card. Sun Kong, I take the bad boy card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's a bad boy?
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Use this card. Kill target kenku. Trying to kill target kenku friend. Oh, God.
Whoa, how
I mean,
man, that's specific.
Oh,
you're
sorry.
gonna laugh.
It
You're gonna-
says 6 shotgun shells again. Sorry.
Sun Kong, the idea of trying to lead the innocent girl, despite the fact that you know that you're doing something heroic.
And I do believe she'll be safe. Like, I'm not lying. I'm not, like, trying to lie to her.
Sun
I truly
Kong,
believe she'll be safe.
we're doing the right thing. We must help your friend.
I know. It's hard, but no. We will.
You try to focus as you exit outside into the deck and look around, but you're too distracted from all of the hubbub. Rinkaz, as well as Glace, you're able to make out what looks to be a ship some distance away. It wouldn't be that far to Spelljam to, maybe 6-10 minutes. It seems to be on fire, and as you can see with that 20 perception, Rinkaz, you can see figures standing on top of the burning ship. Although you can't make them out.
If there was a strong wind pushing us towards the ship, would it get us there faster?
No, only because this ship is propelled by magic.
Can I, go into the cockpit and, try to, focus on steering with Nvidia, so maybe, to give it a little turbo boost?
Only one person is really allowed to use the Spelljammer helm to move quickly, although you could head down there, because at least you know, Glace, that besides the general sort of aura of perception around the ship, your vision doesn't extend out that far without special equipment within the ship, like in your geodesic ship. So Nvidia can sense what's happening around the ship, but not too far outside of that. So you can at least go down and tell him, hey, we've spotted the ship, head this way as quickly as possible.
Okay, I will do that then.
Nvidia, as Glace comes down and points out in the general direction, you pinpointing it in your mind's eye, give me an Arcana check to try to propel the ship as quickly as possible there.
You
Plus
got
4.
This. You got this, buddy.
Nice.
18.
You guys feel the ship now, having cleared the verticality of the city underneath with the explosions and fires and toxic clouds. You feel a sense of freedom in Nvidia, and you try to pick the ship up. It doesn't feel like it'll be long now. Maybe only 5 minutes to reach it. Glace.
That's plenty of time for me to die.
So if we wanted to put feet on it, or is it miles?
Nvidia can lower the ship down to the surface. But the ship is going at a decent pace now, and it is still about 5 minutes out.
So that's far, really far.
He could descend down, and you could jump off the ship and head on foot. You imagine, though, as you peer out watching the movement of the ship, that it's probably going about your speed. It's going pretty fast.
Okay, so I can't get there any faster. Oh, that's just all. If I could get there faster, that's
Yeah,
really what I want.
it looks like the lamprey ship just sort of maybe careened and began descending at an angle very quickly before smashing into the ground a little distance away from the scar.
How does it look like Dimension Door would work on it?
How far away does Dimension Door let you go?
500 feet?
I would say if you were to Dimension Door out onto the surface of Skorge from the Spelljammer, you would not be immediately at the lamprey ship, but it would cut down your travel to about 2 minutes to reach it.
I can bring Sun Kong with me, because he's a speedy boy.
He sure is a speedy boy.
Let's see. I believe it's only one person. I think. Let me double check. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
You can
Take your
also
time.
bring one willing
No,
creature
please.
size or smaller. Alright, well... Sun Kong, will you come with me?
Of course, absolutely.
And we'll meet everybody there. Good luck.
I'd like to mount up on the edge of the ship and see when I can get a shot on anything on the 800 on the range.
You have an 800 range in your weapon?
Yes.
Holy fuck.
Oh my god!
What a nasty boy.
Jesus fucking Christ!
That's the 200's the base, 800's the you get disadvantage. You have to call collect. You have to say a prayer. do, everything to try and hit, but
You feel like it won't be long before you may be able to take a shot as you're mounted up, kind of looking through the scope of your weapon, of your rifle, Rinkaz. Glacé, Sun Kong, what does it look like as you dimension door down to the surface of Skorge, some feet out?
So, a beautiful, decorative golden door with all kinds of magical jewels on it appears with sparkles and gleaming with light. Glacé turns to Sun Kong, holds out her hand, and says, "Shall we, monkey?" And then the same type of door appears as on the surface, and opens with like a ray of light, and we catwalk out.
Okay.
Awesome.
Strike a pose.
Yeah.
Invoke.
It's like that thing where it's just silhouettes of us, and then the door vanishes, and then it's us, and we're fabulous.
Invoke.
And
You guys find yourselves, having orientated yourself now, leaving the dimension door on the surface of Skorge. The same barren rocks around you and general darkness that pervades. The only light is the ambient light from the distance on the horizon from the nearby sun. You look back to see the ship that Envidi and the rest are piloting, moving quickly through the air, but you can look forward, and the distance, about 2 or so minutes away, is the lamprey ship. I'm assuming you guys just beeline it there.
run, monkey, run! Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go as fast. I move. If I dash, 140 feet
per turn.
Yes. So
Okay.
that's per second, I think, because a turn is a second or a minute.
6 seconds is a turn.
6 seconds. So I want 140 feet per second.
Have we ever had to
6 seconds.
Have we ever had to use fully on a monk, just fucking sprinting full speed? This is the first for me in this.
Yeah, this is out of combat monk sprinting is a first. Yeah.
Like, I am running faster than probably anyone has seen me move.
Glacé, in just a trail of smoke that spurts out, you see Sun Kong just full speed headed towards the area. "We must hurry," you hear Roshi say in your mind, Sun Kong.
And I just push.
You feel like you've never moved as fast as you have to try and get to your friend. You know it won't be long to get there, but before you do...
Oh.
Oh.
No.
Sorry guys, I was just rolling up a new character real quick.
No.
It's... Oh.
Asa.
Yes.
Malady, having equipped her hands with sharp-tipped clawed gloves,
She's gonna Fight Club beat the shit out of me until I am dead.
shifts towards you, lowering and trying to move, although with a slight limp in her step. Tries to strike against you with her claws.
As a reaction.
Yes! Yes!
I can't even amplify this because there's not enough blood left in my body. But I take just a smear of blood and I cast it into her eyes to give her disadvantage on
Yes!
on this hit. That's my last blood curse. I can't even amplify it because I am at such low health.
You... Go ahead, Kimo.
Can I use one of my good boy card on this?
Ooh.
Even though I don't know how
good boy cards work.
If I have to be there for it to take effect, or if it's just
it affects your character, unfortunately.
Oh,
Fair enough.
well, worth a shot. Thank you, Chemo.
Yes. That's a good idea, though. Malady strikes as you quickly fling a spray of blood into her eyes. She strikes up with a claw. With disadvantage, it's a 14 versus AC.
That is a miss. I block with my little IV stand that I've been using as a shield.
All right. She pulls
That's a real
back
thing.
and tries to bring her second claw towards you for one more attack. I'll make this a public roll.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
Lie to me, Jason. Just lie to me.
Fine,
God,
fine,
this is
fine.
good. This is good.
Somebody
this is good.
buy. Somebody. I don't know. Can people buy bad boy cards for the DM?
Rinkaz, pay roll 20, make me stop.
Oh.
No.
That's a fucking miss. Dude, Aesop's tanky, y'all. I don't know if I ever... He's like a duelist.
Oh my god.
Oh shit.
17 versus AC misses. How do you block this attack, Aesop?
I get the first hit, or the first hit I deflect with my IV stand, which is what is my shield. And then I actually stumble because I'm so close to passing out, and that causes her second attack to miss me.
She swings wide, missing you. It's your turn.
Oh my god, Aesop.
All right, little bit of internal dialogue. I think Subject 22 would say in my mind, "Your frame is too weak, little bird. This is up to you. Protect the hatchling." And Aesop will raise his wrist, adorned with the golden bracelet he got from the pyramid in Relica.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to point it not at Malady, but at the creature that's holding Hush. And I'm going to cast Flesh to Stone on the creature holding Hush. It is a DC 15 Constitution saving throw.
Oh boy. Let's see. These are beefy boys. He rolls a 17.
I kind of defeated, put down my hand, and I just say, "I'm sorry, Hush. Forget about me." And that's all I can do with my turn.
Sun
I'm out of
Kong,
everything.
you are shifting across the land. You feel like in 20 more seconds you'll be there. 30 seconds. Maybe.
Oh, my fucking skull's gonna be caved in, y'all. Oh shit!
Jason, can I see it? Can I still see it? Can I do another dimension?
I mean, that's like 30 feet. That gets you what, like 30 feet, right?
500 feet?
Oh, holy shit! Wow.
That's pretty good. Good long range spell.
You guys want a dimension door over there? You can, Glosse, but Sun Kong has...
I will do it alone. I'm doing it alone. I see Sun Kong. Godspeed with him. I'm doing it my way.
Where do you dimension door to?
If I can see Aesop, I dimension door right by him. The same way. Same glamorous way, by the way.
Glosse. Roll initiative.
Oh!
Appearing through a glimmering, star-studded, gem-studded door, Aesop, you see
Aesop's
form
like,
of...
I bled out. I'm dead. Like, this is a hallucination.
Get away from him, you bitch!
Oh, that's perfect.
That's an 11 for my initiative.
Don't worry about save Hush.
Malady, you see the monstrous kenku shift forward, just holding Hush in place. Malady attempts to strike at you, Aesop.
Oh yeah, that's probably gonna hurt.
The first attack is a 17 versus AC.
Another miss.
And then another.
Aesop is just stumbling, like inadvertently dodging her punches. It's another miss.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
You see Malady breathing heavily. As she misses a second time, she is trying to attack and take down Aesop. Glace, what do you do? She does not look in the best shape. Her mask is removed now. You see a burned face with scarring across it, and just the slight view of white tipped feathers at the edges of her kenku-like face under the hood.
I'm going to cast. Oops. Did I get right? I am not one to get into family affairs. Aside from saving you and Hush, I'm going to heal Aesop.
Ooh.
I think I'm gonna do it with a 3rd level. No, I'll do it with a. I'll do it with a. Fuck! I don't want to. Oh, I don't want to use that. Okay, sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry, guys.
Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. You know Aesop would want you to save what you need to if it meant you could save yourself and Hush.
Hey, is Malady a monster?
Malady is a kenku, not a monster.
Okay, so
Humanoid.
Hold monster wouldn't work.
Hold monster supersedes hold person. It works on everything.
Oh.
Yeah. It's just target creature, I believe. And then hold person is target humanoid.
Okay.
So technically if you have hold person, that would work too. If that's what you're asking.
Well, I am looking at my spells. I have hold monster available right now.
Perfect.
And I would like to use my card that adds another D.
Oh. Oh.
So DC save is going to be 18 for hold monster on Malady.
What's a DC right there?
What's the DC?
18.
So what's the roll that I have to make? Dexterity?
Wisdom.
It's wisdom.
Oh, I'm
Wisdom?
sorry.
Charm, right?
Yeah.
Not kidding. A natural 20.
Fuck! You always do it to me, so I'm not surprised. And so as a bonus action, I'm going to use my Mantle of Inspiration. Aesop gets 11 temporary hit points. And Hush can come towards me without occurring opportunity. If she's grappled, she's grappled. But that's I want to try to, if I can, as a free action, tell Malady that it's too late. Our family is on the way. You cannot win. You might as well leave and stop trying to tear us apart. Or else.
He took everything away from me.
You hear her grit through her teeth or beak.
Then go. Build more. That's part of life. You get things taken away from you, honey. I don't know what she's talking about, but
She's not wrong.
No,
Aesop.
you can't kill him.
You're up.
Aesop has tears in his eyes, and he just says, "I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt you more than I already have, but..." And I'm gonna take my rapier, and I'm gonna slash at her.
Okay.
27 to hit.
Oh, that's gonna hit.
Yeah, 14 piercing damage.
Malady, pierced through by your sword cane, coughs up blood, and falls to the floor of the ship.
Oh, holy shit, really?
Yes. She was badly damaged.
Oh, man. Aesop just starts, like, bawling uncontrollably and kind of falls on top of her.
Malady, unable to really move all that much, looks to you, Aesop.
You took everything away from me. But I forgive you, Aesop.
Surprised, the monstrous kenku let go of Hush. She runs over.
Thank
Malady looks up to you, Aesop, and says,
But can you forgive me?
Of course. Your forgiveness is more than I deserve.
You took my daughter, Aesop. That night, when you and your wife were testing what was left of your cure on her, you didn't know me by name, but I brought supplies every now and then to the lab. When you killed my daughter, I knew I couldn't let you continue your work. I added more of the combustive powder into your ingredients the night before you tested it on Malady.
I forgive you as well. If you hadn't done that to us, we may still have been on Udu, doing the same thing to people like you and your daughter. You did what we deserved, and if my wife were here, I'm sure she would understand why you did what you did.
I am free now.
Fly, Malady. Fly.
her hand falls from your foot and goes limp. Sun Kong, it's at this point that you are nearing the ship. You'll see your token to the right. You can move freely. The rest of you, Rinkaz, through your scope, you can now make out some of the others. However, it looks as though Malady, or the other kenku that's not a part of Hush or Aesop, has fallen to the ground. Sun Kong has reached the area. It looks as though they have dispensed with the enemy.
Let them be, Sun Kong.
The monstrous kenku turn their heads curiously at the corpse of Malady. Those of you on the ship, as you begin your descent in Vidi, knowing that you are soon to be upon the crashed lamprey ship, those of you on the deck, Rinkaz, as you peer through the side, off to the side, you notice those kenku previously that left you guys are dashing through the air down towards the lamprey ship.
I'm ready in action in case any of them attack any of my party members, Hush or Malady or anything.
Sure, you keep the scope trained on that area. You watch Aesop as a number of monstrous kenku land nearby. None of their attention turned towards you, though, their bodies scarred by the acid grain that pelted the area from before. You watch as the monstrous kenku on board slowly approach, but not towards any of you, but towards the corpse of Malady.
I kind of put an arm in front of Hush and step backwards away from Malady.
They limberly run their monstrous hands under her body and lift it up. The rest of the kenku nearby watch. There's a sorrowful tone coming from the monstrous kenku as their wings expand, and you watch as they begin to take flight into the air, carrying what's left of Malady with them. Hush turns to you, Aesop. She pulls what looks to be a dagger caked in that combustive powder and looks at you with tears in her face and throws it across the deck into the fire and hugs you.
I put the one arm I have that's not like dead and limp at my side around her and pull her in.
No more secrets. We are all we have.
No more secrets, Hush. I'm sorry I wasn't a better father.
You saved me,
Hush says.
I didn't. My other, 22, he saved you.
Then both of you saved me.
Yes.
Hush then turns and hugs you, Glace.
Bro, Glace will be bawling at this point. She's like snot-nosed, ugly, sobbing, crying. And then when she hugs me, I go in to hug Aesop, and I like motion to Sun Kong to like hug us as well.
All right. I think I've ruptured a lung.
The ship you guys see descending lands, and the rest of you, I don't have a image of the ship, but you guys are able to exit the tradesmen and catch up the group that you see close knit together on the top of this burning wreckage of a ship.
Also, you can talk. What?
Is she talking or mimicking?
She's clearly, the way she's talking is reminiscent of Kaz's speech.
Oh,
right.
right.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
because Kaz taught her some stuff.
That's right.
Chemo climbs aboard on deck.
What happened to the other ones?
Malady is dead. The rest of them, I imagine, went to give her a proper burial. Something that her daughter was denied. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to the ship.
Well, now that we're on the surface, I pull out the crystal communicator, and does it seem to be glowing or working?
It's not glowing. to indicate that you guys are in the Wyrd. But other than
Right.
that, you assume it would be working.
Oh, so. Okay.
I don't know if we need another ship.
Can we get our ship?
Can we call? Yeah, can we call?
Kui.
Kui?
I'll press it and try to give her a call.
Hello?
I'll hand the name up to talking to.
Kui, can you get a reading on us? We're standing on a bit of a funeral pyre right now on the surface. Can you get us onto the ship?
Yeah, I'll have Navigator head that way. I'll try keeping an eye out for you.
All right. Thank you, Kui.
Sure, she says.
Rinkaz is gonna grab one of his glow sticks out of his bag, or a couple of them, and crack them and throw them on the surface, as if a big flaming ship wasn't enough, but maybe just to indicate. I'm gonna take one of them though, and crack it in half, and take some of the stuff and draw a little heart on his chest, and then one on hers.
Oh my
I can
god.
welcome her back.
Rinkaz, you always know how to lighten the mood. Just blood flies out of Aesop's mouth.
God.
I'm feeling like they're probably going to be close by. Just lucky happenstance.
Oh!
Chris!
Finding bumping into something you were looking for, or any manner of lucky happenstance that helps you on your adventure.
What are you trying to do?
Speed up the pickup.
Okay.
Are we on the surface like that we on the surface that we haven't been on, or are we by Nana's place by any chance?
Nana's probably isn't far out. As you peer around, you notice that the pufferfish spelljammer is actually not too far away and is beginning to descend towards the tradesman ship.
Oh.
Is that good?
I mean, lots of innocent people were on it, so maybe.
Okay, good. I'm glad some got out alive. This is all my fault.
That didn't sound like it.
All of the slavers were dead, right? And I grab my rifle and start looking around towards the puffer.
You don't know that.
We don't know about all the slavers, but we definitely know that that's, was Lizfolk? What was the pilot of the pufferfish? I know him.
Oh, your hot friend. Your hot elf friend.
Zelrin was a supplier you knew, but you imagine he didn't really ever seem to be magically adept, so perhaps there was another pilot. As the pufferfish lands, though, you do notice Zelrin seems to be exiting from the ship and headed your way. He seems to be trying to flag you down.
I'll go over and talk to him. I'm gonna tell Rinkaz maybe do keep trained on him.
I nod and keep my eyes on him.
Did you make it out all right? Zelrin says as he catches up to you.
Well enough.
The hell happened here? The hell happened in town?
Hard to say exactly, but it looked like the king let a hand. Didn't like being a slave. Found another way out.
An uprising, huh? Well, that's the way to do it. Look. This ship here, is this yours? He says, pointing at the flaming lamprey ship.
Nope. Belongs to the surface now.
He looks around and then points over at your tradesman. Is that your only getaway ship then?
Kimo kind of laughs and says, yeah, I got it at a pretty good steal.
Well,
Why does he ask?
there's a lot of people on this pufferfish ship and not a lot of supplies to feed them. If there's any other way that you guys have for transportation, I was wondering if maybe I could divvy up the passengers and we could use the tradesmen. We've got a lot of mouths to feed. Not that I particularly care, but I'm not too big for watching people starve while we try to find another planet to head towards. Skorge, the town underneath the scar, was the only thing pertinent on this planet. The rest on top is just barren. People try to eke out a life here, but that's no life. Clearly, with everything going up in flames down there, I doubt we'll have jobs to return to, Chemo.
I'm new to this crew. As far as I know, this is the only way out.
Well, that's not entirely true, Chemo.
I know drow aren't one for light, but kenku are adapt to the desert, aren't they?
I wouldn't say adapt. We prefer shady spaces, usually high up.
Ah, the Neo-Gokyo it is.
Actually, not a bad idea. Aside from the maesters, it's not a bad place for kenku.
You said there's something else you guys had, Zurin says, kind of yelling from down below.
I kind of like take my cane and shuffle over woundedly to the edge of the boat. Yes, we have another transport. We just need to get someone off of the tradesman, right? And I look to Sun Kang and Glace.
Yes, we have to help the girl. Either take her with us, or I don't know if she has family now at this point.
Well, I think we both know there are families.
Yeah, so
I say whispering.
take her with us.
Very well. Is there plenty of room on your ship? Zarin says.
Oh,
Yes.
On our ship? Yeah.
People. You guys, we can help save the people.
No,
I
I'm not asking that. I'm not asking you to take the refugees, but the only reason I ask is, well, two of the passengers were asking about you.
Were they children?
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness. I don't think I could have bore that on my conscience.
We would like to trade you the children for the ship then.
He chuckles.
Kaz cackles from beyond the grave.
That sounds like a fine deal. A Skorge-like deal. 2 small children for a spelljammer.
No, that's not it.
Yes, very good ruling cast. Very good.
And we can do anything. We can do anything we want with these children.
A shrewd slave negotiation. Yeah.
So, you guys brush yourselves off. Does anybody give any healing to Aesop?
I put a hand on him and I'll give him some healing light.
Smooth out his feathers.
Hush.
Please put some blood back into my body.
Hush comes over
take 18,
and
buddy.
Nice.
gives you a pat on the back, Rinkaz.
Words you and Kaz taught me came in handy, Rinkaz.
Hush says.
That's good to hear. What did you do?
You have sheets.
Oh, that's right. We do have sheets. We have 4 of them in the bag of holding.
Neo-Gokyo.
She says, trying to sort of like piece together words that Kaz has said.
Is place we should go. Malady told me things while held captive. Cure is there.
She was able to prove, if nothing else, her formula can replicate the limbs needed for flight. It's a astonishing breakthrough.
Said there was genius there who helped her make cure. We'll fill you in back on ship first, of course.
I see. Aesop
Alright.
isn't sure what to do with that information.
In the meantime, Sun Kong, do you go and get the young girl off of the ship?
I would, yes.
Okay, we'll say that you're just carrying her with you.
Yeah.
It's
Let's round
an
up all the children and get them together for our slave trade.
easy enough check for you to carry her. In the meantime, Zelrin leaves, and as you get the young girl off of the tradesman, he begins filtering some folks out to try and divvy up who's left. He comes back, and out running from behind him are two young children, Glace.
My babies!
I mean,
I go to hug them.
they're not your babies. But...
Every little baby is a baby of mine. Come here, children.
Gesma and Nezel run up and hug you, Glace.
We're so glad you're safe.
I was a Meswick. Did he... You okay?
Meswick, when the fire started,
Gesma says,
he told us to stay inside. He would keep us safe. He left to head outside when we were back in the storeroom. And we heard him screaming when he came back in.
Oh.
Nezel looks to you.
The whole place was on fire after that, so we had to get out. We followed the people that were running towards the Spelljammer area. And we got on board with the others. We were able to sneak through most of their legs.
Smart kids. See, Aesop told you they'd get out just fine.
Well, let's come along.
Well, Zoran says, a deal's a deal.
Oh, yes! Goodbye, Zarin. I gotta shake his hand.
He shakes your hand.
Yes!
Kimo, Zoran says, you sure you don't want one of those magicigs now?
Good.
Where will you be headed from here? There's plenty of room now if you want to come with me. The rest of us. Don't know where we'll be going exactly, but finding another place. Safer place. Any place has got to be safer than this.
That's true. Let's see. These people owe me something now. I intend to collect.
We're in more debt.
Yes, we do.
Deal was I helped them out of their scrape. They helped me off of this one.
Fair enough. You've come to collect. These people gotta pay you. Well, it was
One job
good
at a
our
time.
dealings. What'd you say?
One job at a time, Zelrin.
Of course,
One
he
job at a
says.
time.
He gives you a hearty handshake. Be
It's
safe
still-
out there.
I think it should be like one of those little
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
like an arm
handshakes.
clasp thing. Okay.
Dylan, you son of a bitch!
Yeah, I was trying to place the movie. I was like,
Yeah.
fucking Schwarzenegger, I know, but
You've dealt with this guy before. He's as seedy as they come, but in your line of work, that's good company. So he at least wasn't as bad as the other people. He's one of the least offensible ones on Skorge.
CD doesn't preclude liability.
So he gives you a hearty shake and wishes you well, and begins to head off.
Did
Or-
Zelrin? And Zelrin and Zelric? Did you know a Zelric? Does that sound familiar to you at all?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay,
Who's that?
never mind.
Never mind, bye.
Hey, on that ship, I forget, honestly. I'm sorry for ruining the moment, but did old Ganny and Inoki head back to the ship
They
before
got
we
back.
started all? Okay,
They did.
sorry.
Zelrin You guys spend a couple minutes. The rest of the kids come and greet you all. They give you hugs.
Who are you?
Guzma says, pointing up at you, Chemo.
Who are you?
I'm Gezma, and this is Nezel.
There's a small boy with crushed, kind of discombobulated, like makeshift goggles on his head with a scruffy, dirty face that waves up at you.
They're both kids.
They're both kids. It looks like Gezma's probably a couple years older, maybe kind of like in her mid-teens, but Nezel definitely looks like he's maybe like 10, 11.
Perfect. I'm Chemo. And then I slam my hand on the ground in magic, spelling. Minor image.
Oh, nice.
A little, like, 1 foot tall version of Nezel. Say, this is Nezel.
They are awestruck.
What?
Gezma looks over at Nezel.
I told you they knew magic.
Nezel looks back.
I was saying that the whole time.
He begins poking at your illusion.
it's an illusion, so it just... yeah.
He like pretends shakes the hand.
Hello, me.
I'll, like, shadow puppet it, like I'm actually, like, marionetting it, like...
They laugh a little bit. You brought a little bit of joy to the rather dour affair of what's happened the past few hours here on Skorge. It's about this time that in the distance, beginning to lower, Chemo, you see a large, almost, it's like a, how do I explain it? It's like a polygonal ship. It doesn't look like anything else that you've seen. Let me try and see if I can't find, let's see, rules.
Yeah, there's an image of it somewhere.
Kind of looks like this, except it has more sides than what you see here. It almost looks like just it's a geodesic, like a polygonal ship that begins descending. It's relatively sizable, probably a little bit bigger than the lamprey ship here, and its circumference.
I mean, I Kyle know what's happening, but Chemo kind of starts to draw his blade and push Nezel behind him. Kind of give a questioning look at Glace.
Nezel and Gezma, never having seen the ship either, gladly begin hiding behind you, seeing this large object sort of blotting out the light from the sun in the distance, lowering itself towards you guys.
Damn it.
Whatever could that be? It's so big!
Glace, it's not the time!
Chemo, is that your ship? What is that?
You're all assholes.
You're all...
I don't know.
No, stop saying this in character. You're all ridiculous!
Is it safe?
Gezma says, clearly scared.
I'll pull out the crystal communicator, and show them, yes, and this is the key! If we all huddle together and get real close, we can teleport on.
Chemo narrows his eyes at Glace before getting closer.
You have, if it's your first time on, you have to all hold hands and say, you have to say, what's the magic word? Let's see.
Before she finishes, Chemo stands there with his arms folded and tips his head forward a little bit.
We'll just go on this ship. We'll figure out the magic word later.
As the ship descends, Sun Kong sort of still held aloft against your chest, arms wrapped behind you. The young girl looks up and turns back at you, mouth still covered by the rebreather-like device.
Is that your ship?
Yeah. That's our ship.
So we're safe now.
You'll be safe. I promise.
She hugs you with a certain squeeze, as if to be comforting to know that the madness of what happened, that she's being led somewhere safe, having begun to gain a little trust in you, in particular, Sun Kong.
Just smile warmly down at her.
The large ship descends, not over the lamprey ship, but nearby to where you guys could approach it, just hovering a few yards off the ground.
Can we pick up Nanas? Is now a bad time to get Nanas and go?
Yes, yeah, we should get Nanas, Nezel says.
I'm sure we can take the geodesic ship over to the hut.
Yes.
So, you guys want to approach the geodesic ship?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna let everyone clear out for a second. With with Hush though, I'm gonna hang back a second with Hush.
The kids seem to follow you, Chemo.
Jeez.
What is can we see the scar from here?
Yes, it's a very large opening, so it's clearly visible. A little distance away, clearly, but it's still very visible.
Can we see like flames coming from it, or is it still just like toxic fog?
It's a thicker cloud than usual. You surmise that large cloud created from the Scuzzworks is eking and mixing in with the typical pollutants that exit out through the scar, and it seems to be forming some type of acidic rain cloud up above the scar itself. Although not too unnatural from the other ones that you've seen in the distance.
Aesop will point at it and kind of make sure Hush is looking, and he'll kind of lean down, still kind of exhausted, and say, "No more lies. I'll be a better father from now on, but that," and I say gesturing at the smoke cloud, "that is my legacy. I want you to know that I know yours will be infinitely better. I love you, Hush. Thank you for standing beside me."
She gives you a hearty hug.
And I will catch up with the rest of the group, helping Hush down from the ship.
You head on down. I'm just gonna gather you all together. You all approach the geodesic ship. Glace, you have the crystal communicator in hand.
Okay, now it's a little bigger on the inside than what appears on the outside.
Can we go?
Yes. Since you ask so nicely. I'll hold the crystal communicator up, and whatever it is, I'll squeeze it. I don't know. I don't remember what we have to do.
You all just have to be touching the crystal communicator.
Oh, okay. I'll pull it back down. Okay, we all touch.
You give it a squeeze, but nothing happens.
That would have been a perfect time to like play a stupid prank on Chemo.
Yeah.
All right, you gotta stand on your hands and make fart noises with your lips, and then
And then we all strike a pose at the exact same time, kind of like this.
I was halfway expecting like a Charlie Chaplin ball to come fall down, just like 2 feet from me.
Oh my
There's
god.
a flash of light, Chemo, and you find yourself somewhere else. The air is cool here, and you peer around to see what looks like a room made of almost pure white metal, strange shifting glowing lights, and strange metal displays with blinking icons and shifting glyphs move from it. There seems to be a transparent or translucent, almost looking like sitting areas in this large open space, and in the center seems to be a metal table. On top of it, whirling transparent bodies of what look to be sort of like nearby planetoids shifting around, almost like a 3D map. Behind it, a young looking woman with bluish hair and 2 different color eyes peers from around. "Welcome back, everyone," Kui says.
It's good to be back.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've been gone for about a good day or two. Is everything okay?
God, has it?
It felt like a week.
Let's
Describe
get out of here, Kui.
Wait, we need to pick up Nana's. Yeah. And then we can go.
You need to pick somebody up? She says.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just tell me where you need to go. Afterwards... Well, let's pick up your friend first, she says.
I'll describe where Nana's was. If I can.
Alright. She moves the geodesic ship as you just stare around. There's no windows or anything in here, Chemo, and you almost wait for a sensation of the ship moving to happen, but it never comes. You can't even tell that it's moving. You do notice that the 3D star-like system on this metal table in front of this young girl named Kui does seem to shift and move. Kui brings you guys back to the initial area that had the small, tattered village that made up of the area where you first met Nezel and Gezma. This should be the spot, Kui says.
Alright. Does anybody want to come with?
Yes.
If it's all the same, I think I'll rest up a bit. I've been badly poisoned, and I am missing blood.
Oh, yes. Please sleep.
I'll
Feel
just-
better.
Yes.
If you need anything, let us know.
Okay.
I'll stay here to try to help him along.
Very good.
Kimo waves you goodbye.
Goodbye forever, bitch.
Then it's me, Sun, and Rink.
You, Sun Kong. Are you going Sun Kong?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know if you said yes or no. I'm sorry. I thought you said
No, yeah, I'll go.
As the last 3 original party members go back to the acid-filled, the shithole planet and die, the story ended.
You, Rinkaz, Sun Kong, still with the girl held in tow against you, descend back down to the surface using the crystal. Oh, go ahead.
Can I leave her?
Okay.
Can she stay on the ship, or can I actually, put her in a room or something first for now? She doesn't need to come back to the ship, to the planet. No, that doesn't need to happen.
Where do you drop her off at?
I'll just, hey, friend, you want to stay here? Let them go for a minute.
Are you hungry or anything? Do you need to lay down? We can show you to a room, or
Let her in the gardens.
we have
Let her in the gardens.
the gardens, whatever you feel. I know we can get you a chair. We don't have a wheelchair, but we'll get you one as soon as we can.
I just want to sleep, she says.
Okay. We'll take you. I'm gonna take her to one of the barrack rooms and just lay her down.
Sun Kong,
Yes, sir?
she needs Alderman. It's possible there is some sort of treatment that she was undergoing. We can't keep her here forever. We're going to have to tell him soon.
Okay, we will. But she's at least safe for now.
All right. Good.
I don't wanna. I wanna do what's best for her.
Of course.
You guys descend, Glace, Rinkaz, Sun Kong, Nezel, and Gezma, back onto the planet. As you peer around, moving through the village, it looks scraped up a bit, more so than before. Nezel and Gezma run towards the hut that held Nana's. Nana's! Nezel yells, and they push through into the hut. You catch up Rinkaz, Glace, and Sun Kong, and find the kids kind of digging through, looking around. Nana's?
Ugh.
Well, maybe Nana's is on the other ship. Right?
Ugh.
Make a deception check, Glosse.
What do you know? I'm rolling like bulls tonight. That is a no, it's deception, so it's probably really good. Hold on. 18.
18 rolling like bull. Oh, fuck.
I rolled like shit. Does a 26 deceive them?
It's a good bonus. It's a good modifier.
I need to beef my shit up. Holy shit.
I mean, they're children, so.
They look worried, but they look back to you, Glosse, and the rest of you.
Yeah. Maybe Nana's got out of here, Nezel. Some of the others, too.
Nezel looks back, says, "Let's keep searching for just a few more minutes," he says. The kids continue to look around, but they don't seem to find Nana's anywhere.
What about the trap door?
You clearly see that they actually, as you walk in, were already checking there, as if it's a spot that they visited plenty of times before.
Does it look like there was like some kind of scuffle in here?
Make a investigation check.
That tain't bad. It's 17.
It doesn't look like there was anything too thrown out of place inside of this particular hut than what you initially saw when you first visited this area.
Okay. Well, children, Nana's doesn't appear to be here.
Are you sure we should leave?
Nezel says, looking back at Gezma.
I'd like to walk outside and just take a perception check to see if I see anybody else around or if there's anything else going on.
Sure.
That's a 9.
You notice what looks to be one or two stray-looking, really rancid-smelling bovine that you saw when you initially came here, sort of out nearby. Other than that, most of the huts and shacks around here, a lot of the what would make up open windows and stuff have been shut. If there are people here, they aren't visible and are not just easily hanging outside of their homes.
I'm gonna peek my head back in and say, I think it might be best for us to head back up. I don't know. I think it looks like everyone's either packed up or got out.
Alright, well, let's go.
If everyone goes up, I'd like to grab Glosse and like stay back for a second and let everyone else go back.
Gizmo looks at you guys and just grabs Nezel's shoulders and says,
It's better this way. They'll take care of us. Come on.
She says, and kind of pushes him on. He's a bit sad, but she seems to take control. She seems to be the one who's looking out for him and pushes him on. And you guys are able to hang back a little bit as they begin to follow Sun Kong back towards the ship.
I'd like to, not super loud, but give a shout out. Just kind of, anybody else out? You know, just call out and see if anybody else is around. It's safe to come out.
You make a persuasion check.
Yeah, right, buddy. Oldest slaver trick in the book.
13?
You think you see for a moment some of the pieces of wood from maybe one of the openings of the houses shift a bit, but there's no one leaves their homes if there is anyone inside.
This is a chance to get off this planet. We won't be returning.
10 gold for information.
No, don't offer them gold.
freedom, pastures, greenery,
Food.
water.
It's just silent.
Okay, well, we tried, Rico. We have to go.
She lived here long enough. If this was her home, that's good enough for her. And just head out then.
Yeah.
You guys head back, unable to find Nana's, but resting with some amount of peace, knowing that at least you got the kids to follow along with you. And with a flash of light using the crystal communicator, find yourselves back in the mission control room of the ship.
No luck.
That's okay. If you guys are cool with us hanging around here for a while.
Oh,
It's a pretty cool
absolutely.
place.
Listen, I would love that the canter I gave you to play with. I would love if I could just have it back for a little bit, but I would also love for you guys to visit the gardens and see what there is.
Oh, take us there, Nezel says.
So I'll get my endless decanter of water back, and I'll take
They'll
them
hand it back, yep.
to play with the animals in the gardens and see all the greenery.
They are blown away as you lead them into the gardens and begin to not even move far into the gardens, literally just dive into the nearby grass through the opening a few feet in.
That's sweet.
And begin to grab it, throw it in the air. Nezel sniffs it and tastes some of it. Glacé,
Oh, that's poison!
You see a few other friendly faces and head back into mission control.
Okay.
Kui turns to you all and says, well, I'm sure you want to rest. Do you all have a moment?
No.
No.
Wait, are you okay, Kui?
I think you should hear this, Kui says. And she touches some light prompts, some glyphs on the steel table. Ketz appears. Kimo, you see a translucent, glowing, what just looks to be like a monstrous snake-like figure shifting through the air.
It's normal. It's totally normal.
Diagnosis on Kui complete,
Ketz says.
Oh yeah, we asked him to do that.
And?
You destroyed virus that invaded this ship. However, infected her arcane code, corrupted in her current form as corruption grows. Time of full corruptive takeover. Estimated 2, maybe 3 months from now.
No. We have to take her. We have to take her. Somebody on Neogokia will know. Will know how to help. Somebody. Oh god. This isn't good.
I suppose if anyone knew, it would be there.
Kimo, this is our ship girl, Kui, by the way, she's the ship.
She takes care of us.
Kui,
Automated ships.
Well, she's more than automated. She's a part of the crew.
she's the person.
Mostly, she says as she runs a hand towards Glacé and her hand goes through her, almost like your illusion.
She's a ghostly person.
Can't quite understand, but he'll play along. Yeah, a person.
Have you been experiencing anything painful?
Not painful, but I have been disappearing for longer periods of time. Some of the other crewmates have noticed. I won't think I've been gone long, but they'll tell me I disappeared for a few hours.
Okay.
That's not good.
Is everyone okay with going? I think we had to go to Neo Gokyo anyway for something, or no?
Well, Hush apparently knows where Malady was keeping what may be her version of the cure, and if nothing else, I should retrieve that for safekeeping.
Okay. Right.
Hush comes up and nods.
Then straight to Neo Gokyo we go.
Okay, Kui
For all
says.
kinds of cures.
Kets dissipates. Neo Gokyo it is, Kui says. And the ship begins to make its way there.
Oh.
That is where we'll end this session.
What a great arc!
I can unclench myself now.
Are you unpuckered now?
Yeah. I legitimately thought I was dead. Like, legitimately.
Or,
A couple of times I was like, this is gonna be interesting. Interesting into a character.
There's a couple ways things could have gone, yes.
I bet there was.
The second character of Luke's to die.
Look, but it
Exactly.
didn't happen. Aesop is still alive.
Yep.
That would be a weird and wild trope.
Luke
dies
died.
every season.
I don't like that trope. Can we not have that trope?
I don't want that to happen.
It's one of our turns now.
I had a trick for you, buddy.
Yeah, I know you got that revivify.
No, I had a spare the dying scroll.
Oh, well, that's something.
Very nice.
Had to spare the dying rifle in case you were suffering.
That's not.
Oh,
That's not.
Oh shit.
That's not the same thing.
She's dead, Jim. I'm okay, Red Cast. No. Clearly he's out of his mind and in pain. Can fix these guys.
Chunk is a well-seasoned traveler now, officially. He's been through some shit.
Chunk is like right now just slobber coming out of his mouth as he kisses the metal floor.
Can I feed Chunk my inspiration for being a good boy and helping?
Yes.
You don't even have to. He's just happy to be back on the ship. You can keep it. Oh, thank God. I'm never going with you guys again.
You did, Chunk. You did great. We couldn't have done it without you.
If I could have shit, I would have shit everywhere.
Well, I'm glad we didn't have to suffer through that. No.
It's fresh air.
I feel like everything was resolved except for what acid pigeons eat.
Yeah,
The real question.
The world will never know.
some mysteries will remain mysteries, unfortunately.
That's my wish, if I ever get one.
You use a wish spell to ask that question. I hope you guys had fun.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Lisa Bear, for following us. It's very nice of you. Let's see here. Let's just give a shout out to everybody watching. Thank you, Angel of Light. Thank you, Psycho Motion. Thank you, Slim and the Husband and Wife Stream. Joby Essen, Lurks. Let's see, VNK, Virgo Pros. Thank you guys very much for watching. I appreciate it. If you guys, like I mentioned at the beginning of the session, want to buy cool stuff, as I mentioned at the beginning of this session where we got Aesop an extra point of inspiration, you guys are building those points up as you watch. You can find all those details, how many points you have, all that cool stuff down below on our Twitch page in the details. It'll tell you all about your loyalty points, or your weird bits, as we call them. You can see how many you have by clicking on that panel. It'll take you over there. You can buy all kinds of cool stuff. You can see what options you want. give inspiration to any of them, you can give it to me. Follow us if you haven't followed us yet. You can enter to win that D&D box starter set. I appreciate everybody. If you want to watch any of these VOD things, you can check them out on our YouTube, the video on demand, or you can just watch on YouTube. I try to upload it by tomorrow. You can go check it out on GAWD_mode. Thank you very much for watching. We may have some more fun integration with some Twitch stuff soon, but we'll see. I'll maybe reveal it in the next couple weeks. But in the meantime, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you have a great night. We will be back next week for more. Bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.